So for the first question, I've been asked to describe the core components of a virtual machine and explain how I would leverage virtualization technology in a business setting. So for the core components of a virtual machine, we have the hypervisor. An example is a hypervisor is just like the host. For example, we have we have VMware, we have Promox, we have Microsoft Azure. These are examples of the hypervisor, and they are what contain the virtual machines. We also have the virtual components of the machine. That's the hard disk. You have the RAM, you have the CPU, and all those components also make up the virtual machine. And then also a guest operating system, because you need a machine to be able to access the virtual machine. I hope you know what I'm trying to say. So leveraging it to the next point of the question was how to leverage virtualization technology in a business setting. First off, it helps to reduce load on the server. Another point I also like to note is that it helps the machines to be all well organized, because if all virtual machines are grouped under one server, let's say for instance you have a company and the company name is called maybe Francis Tech, and you have lots of machines, you can just have a virtual machine that's be there like the server, then just have the remaining just create other virtual machines in the server that will be able to organize all machines and make it easy for the administrator or the server manager to be able to control whatever goes on in the virtual machine. So another reason I'll also incorporate virtual machine is that it helps to reduce costs, because for example buying new machines, getting new hardware, software updates and all that is a bit expensive, and maybe so having virtual machines will make it easy. So having virtual machines will help to alleviate that cost. Another cost you can also have, for example, let's say you are running out of storage of maybe hard disk or RAM. Instead of buying a new machine like a normal physical machine would do, you can just opt for an extra storage by paying an extra fee to your that will be an extra fee, so that you are able to have more storage and hard disk and all that. So that's for my first question. And then for the second question, it's server rules and features are critical for defining server's functionality. Describe the difference between a server rule and a server feature. How do you determine which rules and features a server needs? So a server rule is a primary service that provides primary service that the server provides on the network. The rule represents the core capabilities like the domain, the DHCP server, and web server or file server. So the next part under the question was how do you determine which rules and features a server needs? So first off, we also need the network architecture, we also need the requirements, and also the security policies and the compatibility, whether the machines can able to run on the server, what you need to be able to run, because there are some OSs, operating systems, that can run certain features and some can't run. So the mostly preferred one is Windows, because that's the more easy and user friendly for users to use. So the next question, that's question 3, it's domains are fundamental components of a company's infrastructure. Explain the primary purpose of Active Directory and how it facilitates user and resource management within a domain. Give an example of a common task you can perform using Active Directory. So let's say we are a domain and then we have other machines connected to the domain, and as a domain controller, you have access to these virtual machines, and you can set policies and actions for them. So for instance, let's say you want a specific group of people to be able to access a specific feature or access certain files or folders without them interfering with others. You can set group policies and you can set group policies such as maybe a users policy, maybe administrator policy, and you can set policies for them to either read and write, to only read or execute. So let's say for instance you have an organization, you want a specific group of people to be able to access such files and documents. You can set up these policies to ensure that other people from the OU don't have access to the files. And one thing I like about Active Directory is that it can help you to group. It helps you to group the users according to maybe groups. For example, in the previous assignments I've been doing, sometimes you are being tasked to group them into maybe accounting, administrative, marketing, users. Like all these things helps to classify users and group them into one OU or OU. So yes, that's so an example of a common task that I can perform on Active Directory is giving permissions, maybe giving permissions to a specific OU to read and write or to view this folder. And also another thing too is you can set policy management, like such as maybe you don't want them to change the wallpaper of their screens, and also setting up a policy for them to access a website straight up when they start up the machine. So I think Active Directory is really helpful in the domain. And yes, these are the answers I'll be providing for these questions. And thank you.